And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for another episode of Rogue Actions. That's right. We are here again for another episode of this amazing show where we don't get things wrong and we take everything totally, completely seriously. Yeah, no, I can't even take it seriously. How you doing, Shawka?
Doing good, man. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, aka Christopher Columbus Day.
AKA I have the day off.
Yeah. If anybody's watching this video and you work with me, you didn't see this video.
Are you recovering from your brutal beatdown last week that my boys gave you? Oh, you thought I was gonna let that go?
No, I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. Well, I did tell you in our last recording that I wouldn't be shocked if we lost. I figured it would be a close game. So I was right on that. It was a close game.
It was.
And you did end up winning at the last second. Yeah, it was close. It was a good game.
It was.
I would say it was a better game for you guys, not only because you won, but also your team was better. You guys just screwed up a couple of times versus our team was just bad. And that was it.
We screwed up a couple times, but you had to think like we had to do a lot with little. Because I mean, we had what, 3 of our defensive guys out completely?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I mean. Like, your offense was rolling pretty well for the most part. Your defense was doing good, even though you were missing a ton of people. Like, the Steelers are not as good as people think they are since they started 3-0. They're going to finish 9-8 and miraculously pull off that 9-8 per usual.
My Cowboys might actually make playoffs, and then we'll lose first round because that's what we do. Yeah.
Yep.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about, and by a lot, I mean a lot of speculation because there's absolutely nothing happening in SWGOH. So it's going to be some fun-filled episodes.
As of recording this video, you watch 2 hours after this video drops, CG will drop a whole bunch of info. We'll be like, oh. But this is the way CG works. So
this is the way. This is the way. Alrighty, you guys know the drill. 3 episodes over here. Three episodes. Why do I keep saying episodes? 3 topics over here. 3 topics over on Shawka's channel. Links are in the description below. Please sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff over on both so you don't miss a thing. That being said, we're gonna get right into the mini meme. This week's mini meme, as voted by Shawka and me, of course, was submitted in the Discord. If you guys want to submit in the Discord and have a chance to get your meme shown out here on Rogue Actions Live, go to my Discord and you can drop your meme in there, and me and Shawka will vote on it every single week. This week's winner, of course, was Bat Dad. There's no better kind of dad out there than Bat Dad. And I'm gonna let you, Shawka. I'm gonna let you do the honors. No, I'm gonna let you do the honors since it's a Yoda.
I was wondering if you would do this or if I had to do it.
You have to do it because we need the voices.
Yeah, I actually don't have a Yoda voice. I don't have a Yoda impression.
Well, it's a perfect time to showcase the one that you don't have.
One I've never done. Buckle up, baby. Here we go. I can't. It's too big. She said that she did. Oh, I screwed that up. Said that she did.
I'm not editing that. I'm just going to stay. Oh, God.
First try, guys. First try.
So awful. Never go into business for impressions. You should stay in the school business. It's what you're good at.
Yep. Indeed.
Jesus Christ. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got some good stuff to talk about here today. And of course, something that, because there's no content, and because, well, we just like to just bandwagon off of everybody else, because why not at this point? You've seen all these videos pop up on YouTube. We thought, you know what? Why not get Rogue Actions in on it as well? So, some characters that we think should be added to the game. We're not going to go through every single faction because that's been over and well done at this point, but we will give 2 factions that we think, 1 faction apiece, that we think deserve a character of a certain caliber to come in and make that faction a little bit better. So Shawka, what's your faction you're thinking of?
So I approach this less from a faction standpoint in terms of like the faction that needs it. Because if I was going to do a faction that needs it, I'd probably say like Geos, because they're just trash. But nobody cares about the Geos, so I don't want to see that come to the game. So instead, I'm going to pick a character that I'd like to come to the game and kind of the faction as a result of that. Okay. So I was torn. So I love Clone Wars content. I'm all about Clone Wars. I love Ahsoka. She's my favorite character in the game.
Really? Could never guess that.
Yeah, Star Wars in general, I should say. So I immediately went towards Clone Wars era stuff. And while there's some great options like, you know, Pong Krell, Quinlan Voss, some of the more typical Jedis, I think one of the factions that we haven't explored enough yet at this point, I know there are 2 teams technically, but that's the Mandalorians. They're an epic group, faction-wise and culture-wise and everything else. And it's such a rich faction that deserves more exploration. There deserves to be more than just 2 teams. And so when I was thinking about who should I pick in that, the first thing that immediately caught, you know, my attention, of course, was Pre Vizsla, voiced by Jon Favreau. But I think that's like the most obvious one. And I don't know exactly where he would fit, to be honest with you, because he's kind of in the middle. He doesn't necessarily fit on a light side or a dark side. Does he fit with like Crimson Dawn? You know, he's kind of all over the place in terms of where he would fit at. And then it struck me. I was like, oh, no, I know who it needs to be. It needs to be Satine Kryze. So, and hear me out on this, guys. So I know most people be like, well, who cares about Satine? She wasn't even a combatant. That's the key. She is a non-combatant Mandalorian. Imagine having a Mandalorian version of Watt, and then bring that into the Bo team, the current Epic Confrontation Bo team, and put that in there instead of like the OG Bo that typically goes in with that team, for instance. So like right now we have Bo Mandalore, we have IG, we have Paz, and we have pretty much, you know, bam at this point. And then the fifth one is the one that's a little bit speculative. Most of the people go with OG Bo. But imagine throwing in a non-combatant Satine Kryze in there. Holy cow, that'd be amazing. Like, can you, like, just imagine, for instance, putting on like a weapon tech that allows, you know, Bo to hit under protection. Ooh. Something like that. Like, or I don't know. There's just so many cool elements that she could bring to the faction, and not only in terms of that team in PvP content, but across both factions, both the dark and the light side Mandalorians, across all content areas of the game. Like, I just think there's a ton of theory crafting, cool potential stuff with that. And another layer on top of that, have her have some, you know, unique synergy with General Kenobi as well. So maybe, I believe, I'm trying to remember if technically they were Galactic Republic at that point or not. I think that was kind of the big controversy of those episodes, was whether they would officially join the Galactic Republic or not to receive protection from them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think they actually did officially. I don't think they did, because that was the whole thing, that when Ahsoka went to Mandalore, she went not as the Galactic Republic. She went as her own separate self. Fact check me down in the comments, guys, below. But I think I'm remembering that correctly. But either way, it'd still be cool to see her have some synergy with General Kenobi, where, like, I don't know, call it star-crossed lovers or something like that. A little, you know, a little allusion, if you will, to Padme and Anakin, where like neither one of them can be defeated unless they both are defeated at the same time, or something to that effect. Kind of like what Rey and Ben have in their kits, where you have to meet certain things for each of them to get defeated. So, but yeah, I just think there'd be so many cool things to work with her within the game. And again, she's a sister of Bo. Like, there's like the power of sisters or something like that. I don't know. Like, there's so many cool things you could do with her and in this game. There's the limits are like limitless, quite frankly. So I don't know. That's where I'd go, Ram. How about you?
Well, and then maybe too, you could have something. I don't know, like not anti-Maul, but like if Maul's on the team, or on the opposing team, he instantly defeats her or something like that. A nice little callback, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could do some cool stuff, but I'm all on board with that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I could almost see like if Maul is on the opposing team, like insta defeat Bo or Satine, but then Satine grants every other light side Mandalorian some ability that's basically an insta defeat. So your entire team just insta defeats the entire rest of the team. Like, how cool would that be?
I mean, why not? We're already at this point of this power creep craziness. Right. Yeah. Why not at this point? Like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, it'd be so neat. Like Satine's Vengeance or something like that.
We have Datacrons that are exclusive to marquees.
Right.
What's power creep anymore? Who knows, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that'd be so cool.
No, that'd be awesome. Kind of like something, maybe a little bit touching back to the days when Mace Windu was able to instantly defeat Jango Fett and prevent revives.
Yeah.
How often are you going to use it? Probably not too much, but it's a nice little callback for when it happens.
Right.
So obviously, on my end, it's no shocker here that I love the Jedi. I've always loved the Jedi. I mean, obviously, Mace Windu is very tippy top of my list.
Time out. You know you can't pick Mace again, right?
No, right? Yeah, I can't pick. I mean, unless he comes into another show later on and it shows that he survived, which he did in fact survive. Then we'll get another Mace. But right now, no, I'm perfectly content with the version that we have in the game. However, you look at this list, and while you have some amazing Jedi in here that are used everywhere, and I mean everywhere, you have people that don't get used. Luminara, East Koth, and I'm talking pre-Datacrons, because obviously with their Datacrons now, people are getting some love, right? But Luminara, East Koth, I'm a Gundai, Kit Fisto, Ayla, Juhani, even outside of Territory Wars, you know, for GAC specifically, she didn't really get a whole lot of use. Jedi Knight Guardian, Jedi Consular, these guys don't really see a whole bunch of love. And so bringing in a Jedi that would be a leader that would be able to give them that sort of just viability, kind of like what Bastila Shan did back in the day prior to, you know, or right after Grandmaster Yoda got his rework, she came out and just made a whole bunch of Jedi just viable right out the gate prior to Jedi Knight Revan.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's Shan related, because who am I talking about? It's got to be Satele Shan. We already have Malgus in the game, and everybody has speculated for however long that because we have Malgus, eventually we have to get Satele Shan. That needs to be sooner or later. She has to be a conquest character, just like Malgus, and she would bring a whole bunch of viability to just Jedi in general that you don't really get a whole bunch of use out of. And I'm never going to complain about taking characters that we have to relic up for various requirements and then giving them some sort of semi-viability. I'm not talking nothing crazy, but she can do something of the sort of, you know, bonus protection, savior mechanic. She's got some crazy force powers. If you guys have ever played the Old Republic video game, she's got some crazy force powers. I mean, she stopped a lightsaber with her bare hands. Like, she could do some crazy things. She slammed Malgus into some rocks and like imprinted him into the rocks. So I'm just saying the power level's there. I don't know why we don't have her in the game yet, but that would absolutely be someone that I think should just, I'm not asking for a whole bunch. I'm not asking to make her meta. Just give some of these Jedi some good use. I know Jedi Master Dasher would agree with me.
Now, so my question is, because there's most of the Jedi that we have are Galactic Republic, let's be honest.
Right. So
do you see her working with what's currently in the game, or I almost don't think a conquest character is enough. Like I would think you'd have to bring some more, you know, Old Republic into the game. Would you think that would happen and make her maybe more like an epic confrontation character? I'd rather see that, I think, at this point.
Epic confrontation would be nice. Certainly just because I think she's worth it, but I'm saying conquest just simply because we already have Malgus, and
right.
I mean, it's
for parity.
it for a comparison, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, every time you take someone that's of equal value on the opposite end, they're always the same thing, right? So like Rey and Slacker, they're both GLs. Lord Vader and Jedi Master Kenobi, both GLs. C and JML, both GLs, right? So Maul and Cat, both Conquest, right? So it's just, I'm thinking Conquest just because it makes the most sense. What I think I would like to see in her kit would be overall Jedi compatibility, right? She provides a good boost to overall Jedi, makes them semi-viable. And then obviously you hit the callbacks with, speaking only to Old Republic Jedi. So that would make your decision to be like, do I want to pull Revan? Do I want to pull Bastila? Do I want to pull Jolee? Do I want to pull Juhani? Do I want to pull these characters that I probably am using elsewhere? Do I want to pull them and maybe get another really good team out of it with Bastila Shan or Satil Shan lead? I don't know. That it would depend on how they do her kit. That would be my personal opinion, is that they kind of like Bastila, right? She has callbacks for specifically Revan,
right?
But her lead works with all Jedi,
right?
So something like that.
I'd be intrigued to see whether an Old Republic team would actually stay intact, or whether it would just turn into another like JML powerhouse teams. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because that's kind of what it is right now. JML just kind of absorbs all of the best non-Galactic Republic Jedi at this point.
Well, they could easily do something like does not work with a Galactic Legend.
Ooh, I didn't think of that.
Right? I mean, they've put that in kits before. If all allies are non-GL whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There you go. That solves that problem. You know, could you technically still use her? Sure. But you wouldn't get the benefit of her lead, her unique, whatever the case is, whatever ability that they put that in. They could put it on in all abilities and just say, her AoE only does 50% damage. I don't know, some crazy thing. It's CG.
Some limiter, yeah.
Right, some kind of limiter to alleviate her going and getting absorbed by JML. So I don't know.
I like it.
Let us know down in the comments below what you guys think. Is there any faction or any character that you would like to see to bring up a faction or bring up characters inside of a faction and make it viable, that we have not already gone over or that no one else has gone over? There's infinite possibilities. And obviously I don't know that much about Star Wars. I know enough. I know more than Shawka. That's not saying much either. So 0
times 0 is still 0. So,
Damn it. That being said, I don't know. There's infinite possibilities. Let us know down in the comments below what character you'd like to see come to the game and why. Alrighty. So, something that we touched on last week with this raid. Everybody in the comments on my video, and I saw several of them, was just, I hate the time limit. I hate the fact that we have the time sync. I hate the fact that it takes 4 to 5 hours to do. I've had to drop accounts. I've had to drop guilds. I've had to do all kinds of stuff. I saw that all over the place, and I'm seeing that everywhere on YouTube and Twitch with everybody doing the raid. People are not happy with this raid. They're not happy with the amount of time that it takes to remod and go in and get the perfect RNG. And we discussed that last week with the whole RNG issue. I don't want to. I think we beat a dead horse at this point. Nobody likes this raid. We're ready to move on. I'm not going to keep doing that for everybody's sake involved. But we are coming to a point where about probably 2 to 3 months at most, we're going to start seeing information regarding a new raid. Generally, it's about, every 6 months or so, give or take, when they start releasing information regarding a new raid. And you get a new raid, once a year, I think, at this point? Once every 9 months?
So yeah, they said that right now, with the current way that the raids work, it's between 7 to 9 months. You can expect the raid to have kind of its lifespan. Yeah. What is less known, I think, at this point is when they will announce when those raid details are. Yeah. Because, for instance, like the crate raid, I don't think they gave us a ton of warning on that one. Maybe a month, maybe 2 at most. and I could be wrong on that one, you guys. You could check if you can fact check me on that one. Versus the Newu raid, they gave us a lot of time on that. Like,
same
I
with
think
the speeder bike.
Yeah, they gave us, I want to say, like a good 4 months of warning. Yeah, so the Newu raid started in July, which was a little earlier than we expected. But I think they told us about that in March, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I knew about the Newu raid before I had to go on my hiatus, and that was around April timeframe.
Right.
Because I went on my hiatus in May, so yeah, probably about 3 or 4 months easily.
Yeah. So one with that information. So right now, so it's October, obviously, and so that means we've had July, August, September, and now we're in our 4th month of the current raid. So if it's a 7 to 9 month, lifespan, then that means that you can expect probably at the earliest, I would say, it drops. I don't expect it to be December. I would think it'd be more like January. But January, February totally fall in line with when that next raid would drop.
Okay.
If they're gonna fall in line with giving us 3 to 4 months of advance notice, they should be telling us now what the next raid is gonna be. And I don't think they're gonna do that. For one big reason, and that's because their big cash cow is coming down the road right now with Balin and with Ahsoka. And I don't think they want to tip their hand just yet.
Right.
But what I can see happening is, so I think I can see Balin coming out here in the next couple of weeks. And then I can see Ahsoka coming out, I would guess around Thanksgiving time. Mm-hmm. I could see them dropping the info for the next raid early November, mid-November-ish time frame, right around when, Ezra drops, maybe Ahsoka's about to drop, that kind of stuff. I could see them putting out a ton of information on that then. I think that's the earliest we'll hear.
Right.
Otherwise, I would expect it to be like December, maybe even January for kind of a road ahead update kind of thing. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I'll explain that a little bit more later, but I would expect kind of us to get the next general stuff probably in November timeframe, though.
Okay.
Is what I would think.
So with that information, guys, what we're going to do here is we're going to do basically a 2-parter, right? So we're going to cover the raid in both of our videos. And it's just going to line right into it. So you can literally jump from this video over to the next one, and we'll jump right into talking about the raid. On this portion, I'm going to cover more of mechanics that we would like to see, more of changes that we'd like to see based on how the popular opinion is on this raid, and what we liked from previous raids and what we don't like from this raid and previous raids, and see where if they can find like a happy medium and things that we'd like to bring out. And then over on Shawka's video, we'll get more into like
thematics
and styles and things like that. What type of era, what type of characters, things like that. So that's the general idea that we're gonna go with right now. Is there any mechanics that you, Shawka, would like to see come into this raid whenever they bring it out?
I think so. I would say there's kind of like 2 big things that I would look for in the next raid. The first one is that we don't go back to speeder bike type stuff, where we have a completely different version of the game than what exists. Like, I still want my characters to do what the characters do. I still want their kits to be what their kits are, their abilities to be what their abilities are. Without a doubt, that's the number one thing for me. I don't want to go in and have to relearn all of these abilities and kits and everything else all over again. That is not the game that I play. Yep. I play this game for a reason. I don't want to play some other game that doesn't exist currently. So I'd say that's point number 1.
Okay.
Point number 2, I would say for me, the biggest complaint I think between Speeder Bike and Newu has been just the endless wave approach to the raid. I am okay with waves as long as there is more of an epic final wave. So, for instance, the end of Newu, if we full clear it and we win and everything, there's a little cinematic thing at the end, and that feels kind of nice, I mean, kind of like the crate raid when we would beat the crate dragon and there was a little cinematic. I'm all for the cinematic, but I want a big bad. Like, that was the thing with the crate raid. You were taking on the crate dragon. Like, you had a big bad that you were taking on, and there were kind of waves in that raid, just different because of the bombs and the whole phases of it. So like, I don't mind if there are some waves to it where you face different enemies, things like that, but there's got to be a big bad at the end of it. Make me feel like I have accomplished something and I've defeated something instead of just going through all of these relentless waves of enemies. Like that's just not a fun mechanic, in my opinion. Like the Newu raid, for instance, if they had just had like Grievous as your final wave, you just have to take out Grievous in your final wave, then I feel like that would have felt so much more satisfying than just taking out a giant raid of B1s. You know, they've just got to get back to the idea of what made the raids great, and that was that you were taking on this epic battle and or enemy that existed in Star Wars canon. Yeah, that's what they have to get back to, in my opinion.
So here's something that I think the Newu raid, and I don't necessarily know, and you're gonna hate me for it, but I don't necessarily know a good way that they could have done it. There's a couple ideas that I have, but something that they missed with the Newu raid. You have your ground battle, and I'm all for the getting rid of the endless waves, because I don't like that idea either. Because that's what makes you have to do the raid for 3 or 4 or 5 hours.
Right, that's what takes so long.
It's awful. But then you have this button that you hit 3 times a battle, and you go up to space and you fight, the Trade Federation thing. But you don't actually fight it. You just hit a button.
It's just
and then you go back down, and then you fight your ground battle. This was a massive missed opportunity for all the people out there. And to be clear, I am not one of those advocates. I'm just saying that there is that option to do so, because I hate ships. This was a missed opportunity to do a ship raid. How many people have been saying they want a ship raid, they want to use their ships? The whole purpose of this game is to use your roster to its full advantage, and you're giving us a game mode that we can't even use half of our roster at this point. Because realistically, I mean, ships are what, 4, 5, 6 mil easily out of a 11, 12 mil roster? Yeah, it's getting ridiculous. So they could have done something where, out of 5 battles, 3 are designated as characters and 2 are designated as ships, and then you go up there and you do that. Or you once you hit your max battles or max points on the ground, you finish that, and then you go back in as ships and you go up to the Trade Federation. You do, I don't know, there's things that they could have done. I'm not saying make it a whole ship thing, because that would certainly get that's the opposite of what I'm saying to do, because that's not using your full roster either. But having a space battle would have been cool to go up there, and maybe the skins are all the Newu fighters. That would have been cool too. Seeing, hey, you go up here and maybe you're not using your roster necessarily, but you go up here and you actually use space battles. You actually go up there and you portray a fleet of Newu starfighters, and you're fighting vulture droids, and your end goal is to go into the Trade Federation hangar. They could have done something like that, just like the speeder bike raid, give you abilities to learn. Again, not the best usage. Directly exactly what Shawka said.
I don't know if I like that.
Directly against, but I'm saying utilize the ship aspect, and they haven't. Something else that I think desperately, and I mean desperately, needs to come back. I agree with the big boss thing, but the raid reward. All right, I'm tired of just getting the raid rewards of your standard currency and gear and whatnot. I'm tired of that. Raids should feel like an accomplishment of the guild. You should feel like, hey, I want to invest so that I'm getting the guild better rewards at the end of the raid. And I think the easiest way to do so is to give a raid character specific reward, right? They could have done something like that with this raid. They could have done something like that with Cobb Vanth. Could have easily been the reward for the crate raid, and for the first time starting that at that point, they didn't do any more raid character rewards. I remember the days, you know, fighting with my guild, trying to get the max points as possible. And granted, the raids have changed, but trying to get the max points as possible. And I felt a sense of achievement when we all unlocked Traya.
Right.
When we all unlocked General Kenobi, when we all unlocked Han.
It's a lot bigger than just gear.
Exactly. And I think that's something that the raids now are missing out on. And I think that they could do well coming back to that. I'm not saying a meta-breaking character, game-changing character. I'm not saying, you know, Traya was the meta for like 9 months to a year when she came out. I'm not saying make that. But someone that's going to be impactful. The speeder bike raid, they could have done, let's say, Flame Trooper to buff up the Empire Troopers. I don't know. Right? Just something along those lines. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't disagree with that thought at all. Because it goes back to one of my biggest complaints prior to Relics coming out. And Relics are the new gear, but prior to Relics coming out and prior to them, you know, opening the floodgates on Carbantes and all of that stuff, I literally just started calling it Star Wars Galaxy of Gear, because that's all it was. You were just constantly trying to get gear and not actually getting characters. Like everyone talks about how it was Galaxy of Marquee back in the day. Like Hubs made that song and everything. I would take that any day over the insane bottleneck of gear, because I want characters. That's one reason I like kind of the shift that they've made towards the new meta of stuff, is that it's not an insane amount of relics necessarily to get characters. It's more about getting the new marquee characters to unlock the GLs. I don't mind that approach, because it's more about the character in that instance than it is about the relics and the gear and stuff like that. Right. So yeah, I'm totally on board with the whole character shards, I guess, if you will, being released on that. I think the other thing to touch on with that, so there was two parts to this in my brain here. So obviously with the character shards, that's a timing aspect that they have to figure out, because if the raid is 7 to 9 months long, then you need to make it so that not only can the top end guilds unlock that character, but ideally even like low end guilds have a shot at unlocking that character. So there's a bit of a tough balancing situation with that. I almost think that across the board, if you are able to complete any of the boxes, you should get those character shards, kind of a situation. And then as you advance to higher levels of those boxes, that's when you get more of the gear materials. I will say, if they take that approach, I think that will soften the blow a little bit of going from getting all of these rewards and then poof, one day you're getting nothing. Right. Because you've now switched to a new raid that you're not able to do well in at all. Well, at least if we switched and we're getting new character shards, even though our relic materials, gear materials, et cetera, are trash, at least that's a little bit of a positive of making that switch. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would help a little bit.
Well, and here's something else to think of too, is what they could do is it's a double-edged sword, right? It would incentivize players to want to gear up their characters. So I think we talked about this previously last week. There's no reason to gear up your characters for this raid. We already know that a new raid, based on the timeline, we know that a new raid is going to be coming out. We're just kind of waiting at this point. And so if you have Gungans at, let's say, R5, R7, do you really have a reason to take them up to R8, R9? For what? A couple hundred more pieces of raid currency? But what if the difference between that was an extra 5 shards of a raid character? Well, now I have a reason to want to take characters up to Relic 7, Relic 8, Relic 9 and push my score even further in the raid, because now I'm going to unlock this character even faster.
I'm not opposed to that. Again, they'd have to crunch some numbers, because we do one raid a week, right?
Yeah.
Approximately. I know it's a little bit less than that technically, but so if it's 5 shards per week, oh god, I have to do math. If it's,
I mean, you'd have to be something like 20 shards minimum.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because if it's only 20 a month, you're not gonna get unlock even by the end of the raid.
No, you'd have to do 20, probably 15, 20 shards every raid. Every raid minimum. And then your incentivization to relic up the characters and get better scores would be that you unlock the character faster. But at minimum, you're getting, 70, 80 shards every month. That would give you, 2 to 3 months of 2 months, you'd have a unlocked character at 145. And within another, 3-4 months, you'd have the character at 7-star. If you did the bare minimum.
We're gonna kind of like Conquest. So with a $10 pack on Conquest, you get an immediate, 10 shards, I think, of the character. Yep. So as long as you do the first box in the new raid, you immediately get 10 shards for completing that first box. And then each box after that, you get an additional 5 shards. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. But in addition to that, and again, this is just gimme. But to incentivize the very high-end relic levels, this is the big thing I think that we're still missing. So let's say everything from relic 5 and above in terms of difficulty level, you need to also give out signal data. Like that needs to be included too. So not only are you incentivizing everyone to go from like relic 1 to relic 5 to get shards of the characters faster, but then you're incentivizing, and there's a bigger return on taking those characters up to higher levels of relic, because you're getting more of that material across the board as well. Like,
I like that.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be more incentive to increase your relics and things like that, as opposed to just being, if you want the same rewards you were getting before, take it up, leave it, or take it or leave it. Like, and it's not a good approach. And I think there needs to be a softening of the blow from when you go from one raid to the next. If you're giving character shards immediately when the new raid, I think that helps to soften the blow a little bit. I also think that they need to be giving like 50% if you're still running the old raid of those Mark IIIs. Like, I don't like
not completely get rid of them.
Yeah, it's just it's a bad tactic in the game. Quite frankly, it's a very bad tactic.
Absolutely,
that needs to go away. But yeah,
I agree.
What curiosity, Ram?
Yeah,
would you keep working on anything right now for the Newu raid, or do you think it's past the point of no return?
Me personally, just because of how much I don't like the raid. No. I'm waiting on Jar Jar to come out. So as soon as he comes out, that's the last little bit that I'm doing. I have my Gungans ready to go. And I would probably take them up to R7 when he came out, and I'd obviously take him up to R7, R8. But outside of that, no. I think I have a team that I'm still running like Relic 1, Relic 2 on, and I'm doing that level because I'm just like, who cares? It's if the guild, depending on your guild minimum, but if your guild minimum is like, hey, we need you to get 4 mil minimum. Okay, well, if that's all you're gonna push for is 4 mil minimum, well then as long as I'm making like 5 to 6 mil, I don't see the reason why I should push to 10 mil. For what, an extra 500 to 1,000 Mark III currency? Oh, big deal.
And that's assuming your guild is going for that too. If your guild is already at its so my guild is at its max crate right now. The only thing I would consider going for, and not to be clear, not the max crate. We're done in trying to improve in crates. Yeah. The only thing I would consider doing is taking out the PAL and Master Qui-Gon just to increase the assault battle for them, and that's it. At this point, I think if you haven't really gotten at least 5 or 6 mil at this point, it's probably time to say nope, time to move on to something else.
Save your resources, because you got a lot of things coming down the chain with Baylan, Ahsoka, some other characters that we'll be talking about here real soon, and then obviously another raid. So that being said, guys, let us know down in the comments below what you think. Is there anything else that you would like to see mechanic wise come to this game or this next raid? Is there anything that we missed? Is there, what do you think of our ideas? Let us know down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Part 2 is right down in the link below. Don't miss this because we're going to continue this conversation right over here on Shawka's channel. And until next time, Squadron dismissed.